Hello, everyone. Hey, welcome to another episode of The Front. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in and join me today on a live leadership lesson. As with every week, every episode, I remind you, you can check out the website at leadtheteam.net for free sales training for motivational content and for leadership tips. And we're going to get into it here in just a moment. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead the Teams, The Front.
Yes, that's right. Today, I am excited to announce my special guest. This is Mr. Jairek Robbins. He's a man dedicated to helping professionals like you achieve success by living with purpose in your life and in your business. He's been awarded the Congressional Award Gold Medal from the United States Congress at a very young age, right, Jairek?
That's right.
He has conducted trainings for many, many companies and organizations, high performance coach, and I've watched many of your live episodes. Also a very awesome guy, just an all-around good dude. So thank you so much for joining with me on this tonight, Jairek.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So as we get started, and I've got some simple questions I run through, because I have a heavy viewership in automotive and automotive leadership, what I'd like to do, kind of give us just a brief history of who you are, what you do, and a little bit of your business background, if you would.
Cool. So I don't know how far you want to go back.
It's like Back to the Future, man.
Yeah. As far as business background, so first job, I'll throw it out there. I've had people guess. I was at a dinner with some good friends the other night, and they've all done amazing things in the technology space, and they were all laughing. And we were asking, "What was your first job?" We were on the table, and all these people had different things. And when it got to me, they're like, someone literally said, "I bet it was like some Reiki practitioner or something like that." And I started laughing. I was like, "Actually, security at Blockbuster Video."
Little different program.
Yeah, totally. I was, big guy, so I guess I'm tall enough and big enough. But good thing I got theft to drop by 60% within the first week. So I scared away all the kids who were trying to steal the DVDs and video games. But fast forward. So I've been coaching now for 2006. I don't even know. 2002. Almost 15 years, I guess. It's wild to think about.
That's
so
awesome.
I started off in my family's nonprofit. I switched over to the coaching side. I was 18 years old when I got started. And as I was doing one-on-one performance coaching, I could only focus on the topics, and they wouldn't give me any other clients except for the ones who, A, were around my age range at the time, and then B, who were focused on the areas that I had of mastery. And at the time, it was physical transformation of my mind and body, and then also time management. And I was... I'm trying to think of a nicer way to say this. I was very focused on maximizing every minute of every day. And at that time, I was still in college. I was working another job. I had multiple things going on in all different directions. And what I was good at was measuring and tracking everything. Like, I could tell you it took me 5.5 minutes to make a vegetable juice in the morning. To put the machine together, to juice the vegetable juice, to clean the machine, drink the juice, and be done, 5.5 minutes. I could tell you it took me 21 minutes to go grocery shopping on a Sunday afternoon between 3 and 5 p.m., give or take up to 5 minutes, depending on how long the checkout line was and how much time the fish counter person took. And I had an alternative route just in case there were too many people waiting for fish at the time when I needed to stop there. And so it's overdoing it, but I was really good at figuring out where the extra time existed, so I knew I could reapply it to other things that were really important to me in life. And so fast forward, I worked for my father's company for 6 years as a coach. I then transferred out and started my own business because I wanted to know what it was like to actually own, run, build, and manage a business, not just work for one. While working for the company as a coach, I also did 2 years in outside sales, so office to office, dealership to dealership sales, where I would go door knock the dealership or the office, say hello, introduce what we were up to while we were in this city, show them a outline of a workshop I could come and deliver on behalf of the organization I was working for, with also in advance telling them, hey, we also have a large event coming up for 4 days. It costs between $1,000 and $3,000 a person. if it's appropriate, at the end of my 45-minute presentation, I'd like to invite all of your team to come attend. And so then I would have the task of setting the meeting, running the meeting, and engaging and enrolling as many people as we could to come and join us at this next event. And so I did that for 2 years, did over 800 different trainings and presentations for companies all across the country. Decided to come back into coaching after those 2 years, started my own business, and I grew it from 0 to 6 figures in 8 months, the first 8 months there. I went from 0 clients to 52 one-on-one coaching clients a month within 8 months. That was way too many clients.
That's awesome, though, man.
It was great, but it was a great idea, bad idea. Great idea. I wanted to help as many people as I could. Horrible idea. 52 one-on-one coaching clients is never a good idea for one coach. That's too many clients. And so I learned I had to scale back on the clients and start creating other verticals that I could help people. So we created products and programs and books and all kinds of stuff that we have now. But to fast forward with all that process and thought, it'll be 10 years this year. And in business, the stats say, 98 or 96% of businesses fail in the first 10 years. Yeah, and so knock on wood, we're turning the corner for our 10th year. And we're one of those companies that'll not only make it, but we're thriving. If I pull up our stats,
can I stop you for 1 sec?
Oh, go for it.
I watched a live stream, and that's one of the things that intrigued me. I watched a live stream maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and you were talking about the stats, and you were coaching people, and that was one of the things you and I had talked about getting together and doing this episode, and I thought, man, I got the right guy. This is going to be so cool because you are into stats. Would you say that the statistics, because you've got a lot of leadership skills, you've got a lot of coaching background, you certainly have sales background. I didn't realize the sales background on you, which is awesome for me because I've been in sales forever, so sales is my thing. If there was one thing, if you could pinpoint one thing that you are known for right now, what would you say that is?
Caring.
Man, that's a strong statement. It's strong, to the point, direct. What? No,
so lots of time. Let me give you the backstory on this.
Absolutely.
I was at a conference, and I've wanted to be known for performance and leadership and all these great things. And I was at a conference, and let me rewind it real quick. So I wanted to get Seth Godin, the marketing guy, to come on my blog show, my vlog. For a while. And so I emailed a friend who knew him, and she emailed him and said, hey, will you come on the show? He wrote back, I don't think it's a fit. Thank you, though. She wrote back 12 more times. Oh, come on. I've worked for you. I know you. Come on. And he writes back like, no. Like, listen, I'm not doing it. And I was like, okay. Long story short, literally a month later, I was invited to come speak at a conference. As I was there, when I arrived, Seth Godin was one of the other keynote speakers. So they brought me backstage and they're like, oh, do you know Seth? I'd love to introduce you. And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. So they knock on his dressing room. They open the door and he walks out and he goes, oh, hi, nice to see you. And I was like, hey, nice to meet you in person. He's like, yeah, great. What can I do for you? I'm like, just wanted to say hello. Great to meet you in person. Love, can't wait to see your keynote. He's like, thanks. And he's like, hey, no hard feelings on not wanting to be on your show, right? And I was like, of course not. Obviously, I still want you on your show, and anytime it's a fit, let me know. So I walked away, sat in the audience. Fast forward, he's midway through his presentation. He's asking for Q&A, and I raise my hand. I'm sitting about 5 rows in the audience. He picks on me, and I thought something was interesting because he writes books on differentiation and marketing and all this stuff. And so I asked him, my question was, if you were going to give advice to your son, what advice would you give him on how to differentiate himself in the marketplace? Now, the reason I asked that is because his son works in his marketing department, his mailroom department at his office. I know that because I have friends who work within his community and they know that. He didn't know I know that. So he thought for a second and said, I don't think this question is about me. I think this question is about you. And I was like, okay. And he said, if you're asking what makes you special in the marketplace, I have watched your stuff, which was a huge compliment. I didn't know that Seth watched any of my stuff, but I have watched your stuff. I've read your blogs. I've watched you online. And he said, if I were going to tell you, based on observation, what your differentiation factor is, he said, it's really simple. It's the fact that you care about the humans you're communicating with. That's all. And he's like, that's enough. And I laughed because I sat down with friends afterwards. I'm like, how the hell do you turn that into a slogan? JarekRobbins.com. I care.
Yeah,
I have no clue what to do with that, but this is a first use where I can powerfully use it. What makes you different? I care, according to Seth Godin.
We'll just cut that snippet out for you, right? You can we'll replay it. Jairek Robbins, he cares, right? If you ever get into politics at all,
I think is the only use I could use that professionally.
Jairek Robbins,
I care.
There you go.
Campaign.
So rather than just the what, because I've interviewed, and certainly this show is centered around leadership and grooming up and coming leaders. What 2 or 3, 4 characteristics, and many of the people that I've interviewed on this show, one of the first characteristics is they say, well, leaders have to care about their people. They've got to care. They have to care about themselves and they have to care about their people. What 2 or 3 other characteristics would you say define somebody that is a good leader? Not just defines a leader, but defines a good leader.
Got it. So here's something to think about. The psychology of the leader determines the actions of the leader, meaning however they're thinking up here is what they're going to be doing in the world. Whatever they're doing in the world and specifically within their business is going to determine the beliefs of their own team. Now, whatever's determining the beliefs of their team is also going to determine eventually the actions of their team. And so one thing that I would say is a key determining factor of a great leader versus just an average or okay leader is what's going on up here. So their psychology, how they view the business, how they view the team, how they view the marketplace, how they view what's going on in the world, how they handle tough times, how they handle great times. Because if you think about it, if you consider there's an iceberg, in every company, there's what's above the water. You know, the stuff you post on the wall where you're like, integrity and leadership and doing the right thing, like those types of things or values we talk about. But then there's underneath the water that you can't see within a company, which is how things are done around here. So I don't know if you've experienced that, where you go into a company and you start working for them and you're like, oh yeah, make a difference, be a good person, Community Citizens of the Year awards, like all this stuff on the wall. But then people are like, oh, no, we don't do that shit around here. Here's how we really do it. Here, slide this, cut that, file this, and who gives a flying whatever if they even find out. And you're like, whoa, that is not what I was told when I saw the whole wall thing and HR invited me to join the 5 golden pillars of the society of this company. And you think, what the heck is going on? And so I think another factor of leadership is not only their psychology and how they handle things, but it's the transparency to what's really going on under the surface of what people on the outside can see. And they are really, truly in alignment with everything that they talk about and say, but they actually live that way within their own culture, their community and company. That's another factor I would say is the transparency and alignment that happens there. There's research that shows, you know, if you look at the personal values of their team, and just my own opinion about business. Number one, the reason you have a business is to add value to your clients, customers, or some service that you offer to the community around you. Second reason is to create revenue and profit so you can take care of your own family. And the third reason is to provide a workspace that gives people the ability to, you know, enjoy their life. If this is where people are going to spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week, provide a space in the community that humans can be better humans because they're there. Like, what a gift to give to your community, a place where 50, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 employees can come and actually be better humans because of the process. And if you look at that, there's research around this. And last point, and then I'll wrap up this question here.
No, this is great.
There's research that shows the difference between an S&P 500 company, a good to great company, if you remember Jim Collins' book, and then there's a third category. And I'll show you how this makes a difference. So category number one, S&P 500 grow at about 4% over a 10-year period of time. That's their growth rate over time on average. A good to great company grows at about 13% over time, which is huge. And then there's a third company, though, that instead of 4% growth or 13% growth, it has 23% growth. And this new term they've come up with is a firm of endearment. Now, the ones that qualify for stuff like this is like a Zappos, a Google, places where people are fighting to get jobs at, not because of the pay, not because of the perks, not because of the cool freaking break room or bring your dog to work day stuff. Excuse me. Wrong pipe. They're fighting over working at these places because there's a alignment between their personal values as a human and how the team and company actually, under the surface, really works and lives. Meaning the real way things are done around there allows their humans to reflect as better humans in the process. Meaning whatever the person values is also being reflected in the way the things are actually done around the company. It's pretty amazing. And again, these companies have a 23% growth rate over time versus 13 or 4% over a same 10-year period of time.
Right. No, and I've heard that. I'm actually involved. I'm on the board of the Colorado Institute for Social Impact, which is defining the fourth sector of business. It's like that conscious capitalist. It's exactly like the companies you're talking about. So really, really good conversation. Good stuff here, Jairek. Do me a favor, and we're kind of winding this down. I try and keep it to 15 to 30 minutes, and we're
okay. I'll keep the next few short.
Yeah. No, it's perfect, man. Believe me, we give an 8-hour seminar. We could just keep going. Maybe one day you and I will live stream a YouTube, do one of those marathon YouTubes or something, and just let people keep coming in. It'd be fun for me anyway. You're like, yeah. So one of the, and I'm kind of rearranging the order of the questions a little bit, but I know that you definitely are into coaching people with purpose and passion and when you're doing that coaching, like I said, I've watched you, I've followed you now for quite some time. If in 2 or 3 minutes, if you could sum up, because you hear people all the time in business, they say, here's the magic. You got to find your passion. If you find your passion, no matter what happens, you're going to be successful, right? So what advice, what 1 or 2 things could you say, look, here's a pinpoint or 2 that can maybe help drive somebody to find their passion or uncover their passion?
Sure. So it depends on where you're at. If you're someone, excuse me, looking to turn your passion into a business, there's a simple Venn diagram you want to consider. In the first circle, if you drew a circle on a page, I would put in that circle everything you love to do or just love in life. And it could be anything. Like, it doesn't matter. Taking a walk, listening to music, hanging out, playing video games. Like, who cares? Whatever you love to do, write it in there. Second list, what are you actually talented at? What are you good at? Or what are you willing to become good at? And you're willing to put in the 10,000 hours or whatever it actually takes to become great at it. And so my thought on this category, you got to suck long enough to become okay. You got to be okay long enough to become good. You got to be good long enough to become great. And eventually you got to be great long enough to become excellent. So that thought process, what are you actually great at or excellent at in this category? So that's 2 circles. What do you love? Gotcha. What are you great at? Second, the third circle, what do people need? Oh, I'm sorry. What do they want? Not what they need. What do they want? And the way to think about this is people want Cheetos. They need broccoli. Like, it's as simple as that. They want Cheetos. They need broccoli. Or they want Cheetos.
You got that
they
right.
Need broccoli. And so in that concept, so many people think of what people need and they're like, oh, they need more of this and they need more of that. And like, people don't care. They want what they want. So what do they want? That also is that fourth list. Write down everything people want in general. And then the fourth list is, what are they willing to pay for? There's some things people want, they're not willing to pay for it. There's other things people want that they're totally willing to pay for it. And when you look at the Venn diagram and cross all 4 of these overlapping each other, there should be about 3 to 5 options you can find there where you love it, you're really amazing at it, you're talented at it, you're skilled at it, people want it, and they're willing to pay for it. And all of a sudden, when all 4 overlap, you see the opportunity there, and you can call it your passion, your purpose, whatever, but you see an opportunity where you can take something you love and you're great at, and you can now monetize it and grow around that if you're looking for it. The other thought is, go back to the list you love and take a different color highlighter and highlight the things that you will never turn into a business, because those are sacred to you and you do not want to share those in a business format with anyone in the world. Those are yours and yours to stay. So also make sure you identify those. Otherwise, you can take something that you love and turn it into something that you hate, because now you're trying to business around it and now you just don't like it anymore. And so make sure you highlight those and keep those to yourself.
Golly, that's a really interesting perspective. That's I hadn't considered that, because I've been guilty of that. I get stuff that I love and I go, oh yeah, and I could monetize this and do that. And you do that and it's a really short time, 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. And then you go, I don't like doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I have a friend who did that with golf. He was going pro, and in college he loved it because it was just fun, entertaining. And the moment he went into the pro sector and it was all about money and business around it, he literally hated it. He just stopped golfing. I have another friend who did this where he used to have this retreat center in California he would sneak off to on the weekends. And it was this beautiful place he would escape to. He was on the board of directors. He was a donor to the society, and they invited him to become CEO. And now he lost his escape place because every time he walks around, all he does see is all the business stuff that has to happen, and he can't even relax while he's there.
Golly. Yeah, I had never considered that. So that's really good insight there. Thanks for sharing. So I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'm going to ask you the question on how people can get a hold of you. But I like this question. You've heard it asked before. There's many, many hosts that say, hey, so Jairek, if you could go back in time, what piece of advice would you give yourself? And I don't ask that question. What I do ask, because you can't go back in time. We can't time travel. I mean, we can in our minds to a point and so forth. Yet. It's coming. But what piece of advice, since you can't go back in time, what piece of advice, just one, would you give to somebody that is up and coming, either as a leader or in, up and coming in the speaking profession, because you do speaking, or, I've watched you give advice on, financial and statistics. What one piece of advice would you give to somebody else that you knew really wanted to have success as they're just getting started or they're headed down the path in their journey?
So it depends on the field. So if they were trying to, I get hit up with people all the time who are like, how do I become a speaker? How do I become a coach? And I have to remind them, it's not about the vehicle. Coaching is a vehicle to move a message from me to the world. Speaking is a vehicle to move a message from me to the world. Making movies, singing, dancing, telling jokes, doing podcasts, writing books, working at a company, anything is a message to move a message from you to the world around you. And so I'd focus more importantly, what's the real message you're trying to share with the space or people or environment around you, and forget the vehicle, but focus on the message. And once you hone the message, figure out what the best vehicle is to get that message out to the world. Because right now it might be speaking and podcasting, and 10 years from now, it could be juggling fire sticks on the beach. Like, I don't know. If that's what causes the most amount of people to be positively impacted by whatever you're trying to do that. Like, who cares about the vehicle? The vehicle is just the way to move the message from point A to point B. Right. It's the equivalent of being like, well, I want to be the best horse and buggy driver in the world. Well, that was a great vehicle until a new one came around. And now 10 years from now, there'll be a different type of vehicle to move from point A to point B. So the vehicle doesn't matter as much as honing the message and honing what you want to share with the world. I would say that's a big part of it. The other thing I would tell people, if you're just up and coming or anyone, even if you're later stages of life, think about the concept of creating your own personal PhD, where it takes about 7 years to get a PhD. So 4 years of undergrad and 3 years of postgraduate work for your PhD program. So let's say 7-8 years. Look at 7-year chunks. And if you said, for the next 7 years, I'm going to study and immerse myself in one topic, meaning I'm going to read tons of books on it, I'm going to go to courses, I'm going to take programs, I'm going to listen to stuff, I'm going to be around it, and I'm just going to immerse myself in it, then if you did it in 7-year chunks, every 7 years, you'd roughly have a PhD in whatever that topic is. Now, you could study and learn all kinds of other stuff too, but if you immerse yourself one at a time, like I did 5 years of research on relationships before I got into a significant relationship because I really wanted to be ready for it. Currently, I'm about 4 or 5 years into studying business, like actual business. And I think that's what I was talking in that live cast is it's showing everything I'm learning, I'm applying, and our numbers are like boop, 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 boop.
And you're able to give really good advice to others too. I mean, people are gaining out of it, out of your experience and your knowledge and your studying. You are impacting others, which is awesome.
Yeah, and there's a piece like learn it, live it, give it. So in the relationship, I've learned it. I'm currently living it, and we're sharing it with people. In business, I've learned it. We're currently living it and applying it, getting the results ourselves, and we're paying forward what's working right now. I have a big piece on leadership. It's not about I know the 5 steps that work every time. It's not about that. It's more or less of here's what's working right now. take it. If it works for you, wonderful. If it doesn't, throw it over your shoulder. Who cares? But if we can learn it, live it, and give it, that's kind of a motto we live by here.
Yep.
And it's just a way to gather information, filter it, figure out what works and what doesn't right now at this moment in history. And then, as it works for myself and a handful of our clients and we all see results, then we start to do the third step, which is give it and share it with other people based on tangible results, case studies, client results, my results personally. So that way we're speaking to something that we have real experience with, not just something that sounded good in a book.
No, that makes sense. Hey, so Jairek, as we come to a close here, again, thank you so much for taking the time to join with me and share your insight on leadership, a little bit of your background, allowed me to get to know you a little bit better, which is fantastic. I'll continue tuning in. How can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out and connect with you? What's the best way for them to do that?
Oh, man, I'd say just go to Google, type in my name, and pick whatever platform you want to hang out with me on. If you want to check out my website, go for it. If you want to find me on Twitter or Google or Instagram or YouTube or anywhere out there, join us on social media.
Is your home address there? Because I'm just kidding.
I'm sure
hopefully not. It probably is.
So if you search hard enough, I believe you could find one of our homes in Tampa's address. But we don't live there right now, so our tenants would be pretty awkwardly surprised if you showed up looking for us.
Surprise! All right. So, and I would encourage you, for any of the people that are watching this show and are watching through it, watch it more than once. Man, I've got a page worth of notes because I always take notes with my guests so that I can move forward as well. So, Jairek, thank you so much for taking the time to tune in or participate with me today. And for everybody else, that is going to conclude another live leadership lesson from the front. Do me a favor, please. You can connect with me at leadtheteam.net. Also, you can check out every one of these podcast episodes, both the individual podcasts that I do and the live leadership lessons, at leadtheteam.tv. And do me a favor, I spaced asking this at the beginning, but please, if you've gained something out of this episode, because we have several people that have watched all the way through here, make sure, give some likes, give some loves, give some thumbs up, and share the video. Get the word out, share the insight, because we want to share the leadership lessons and the leadership information with other people. So thank you again for tuning in and joining me. Until we speak next, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon, everybody.